Hello, welcome to another episode of Bloodhaus, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkel.
And I'm... Sorry, I'm just really thirsty. And I'm your Sorry, I'm really thirsty this morning. And I'm your co-host, Drusilla Adeline. Welcome to another week of Bloodhaus.
Your nervous system is under attack. That's why you are affected by lights, sounds, and colors.
Something that people might call hallucinations?
Oh boy, how are you? First of all, wait a minute. Business to attend to. Happy birthday, Drusilla.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry I missed it because I'm a terrible friend.
You're fine. You're totally fine. No, it was in the middle of the week, and I just, I literally spent the day going to a Dracula-themed escape room with my girlfriend,
which sounds great.
Was very fun. And then when we got out of it, we heard that there was an assassination. So it was a pretty wild day.
Pretty great day in America.
Pretty great
Sorry
day.
to be so political.
I hope that is like a historical event kind of day that lands on my birthday. Would be kind of nice.
Feel like the first shot of a class war to me, but fingers crossed. You can only hope. Here's what I'll say. Not to be too radical, but like everyone's talking about the crisis of young men. If we can get these incels interested in unions, weightlifting, and shooting CEOs, America will be a much better place in 5 years.
I did see someone post a video being like, we shouldn't be talking so lightly about this. We shouldn't be joking about this. Because if you like glorify this, then all those school shooters who want to go out in a blaze of glory in a high school are going to start murdering CEOs and like...
Exactly.
What?
That's exactly my point.
I will also... My birthday was Wednesday, and then yesterday, some people and I went to Revenge of Pinball over in Eagle Rock to hang out and play pinball and just have a good time. And one of my friends had brought a cake for me that I'll show you a photo on this, but to describe it to listeners, it's pretty small. It's a heart-shaped cake. It's got like a nice like kind of pink fringe, like red and pink fringe all around it. So it looks like one of those like heart-shaped candy boxes you would get on Valentine's Day. But in the middle, in like a beautiful like calligraphy and icing, it says, "Deny, defend, depose." Here's a photo of
it. Amazing. I want a cross stitch that says that so bad. Or like one of those live, laugh, love signs, but it says that instead.
So that was my birthday this year.
Amazing.
Pretty eventful one, I will say.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do like a mailbag thing really quick because after our Eyes of Laura Mars episode, somebody sent me a really fun note about it. They said, so listeners who listened to that episode will know that I thought it was surprising that John Carpenter wrote The Eyes of Laura Mars because he doesn't seem like somebody who would be interested in things like the fashion industry and glamour and all that stuff. So somebody sent me this note. Weirdly, John Carpenter's Eyes, which is the original title of the movie, had nothing to do with fashion or disco and was about a working class single mother in the desert, I think. I researched it a long time ago. In my memory, she worked at a grocery store, but I may have made that up. John Peters and his delicious cocaine added all the glamour. So I was right about it. John Carpenter does not have that dog in him, that particular dog in him.
No, he does not. But John Peters does have that delicious cocaine in him.
Yes, exactly.
I love the phrase that delicious cocaine.
I mean, it is pretty delicious. I had my own battle with cocaine. It's pretty delicious.
And you also produced a lot of crazy high fashion murder things at the time. So
yeah,
something in the water.
Have you had any time to watch cool things?
I haven't, weirdly. Like, my birthday week, I have been so busy, I would assume I would have watched a shit ton of movies, but kind of wasn't the case. Between Thanksgiving and my birthday, I watched very, very few movies. However, I did make time enough to watch a movie I'd never seen before, by a director I'm only starting to become familiar with, and I fucking loved it. I'm now very, very obsessed with this filmmaker. It's Drowning by Numbers, directed by Peter Greenaway.
Yeah, you've talked about Peter Greenaway a couple months ago. I've been interested to watch something by him.
Yeah, I watched his first film, which is like a 3.5-hour experimental fake documentary called The Falls.
Right.
Which I loved, but it was very much an endurance task, but I loved it. Drowning by his big film is The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover.
Right.
Which I haven't seen yet.
Which I've never seen.
We'll absolutely be covering it on this show. I'm letting you know that. It's very much an art house horror movie.
Is it?
Very much so. Drowning by Numbers has horror and thriller tropes to it, but it's much more of a black comedy. It's about 3 women of different generations in the same family, a grandmother, a mother, and her daughter, who are all married, who all have the same name, and who all systemically murdered their husbands by drowning. And then kind of seduce the local coroner, played by Bernard Hill from Lord of the Rings, to cover up their deaths. But meanwhile, there's also like an obsession with numbers and ephemera running through the whole movie. It's very much a black comedy. It's really, really, really funny. The coroner's and doctor's like son keeps running around throughout the movie, who's like a little boy with glasses that looks like the kid from Lord of the Flies. Piggy, who's obsessed with like numbers and dead things, and whenever there's a violent death in the town, if like a cow gets hit by a truck or something, they light off a flare and cover it in red paint if it's a Saturday, or yellow paint if it's a Tuesday. And it like has the visual aesthetic of one of those like 90s I Spy books mixed with like the planimetric cinematography of Wes Anderson.
Whoa.
It's very much like you watch this movie and you're like, oh, that's where Wes Anderson got everything from. Like Moonrise Kingdom and Royal Tenenbaums would not exist without everything that Peter Greenaway did. It's so funny. It's so gorgeous. It's really sexual. It's really erotic. I fucking loved it. Severin put out I'm surprised Severin put it out. Severin put out a really gorgeous restoration of it recently, and I bought it sight unseen because I was going through a Peter Greenaway moment, and I loved it. I'll be watching it again and again and again.
Why does it surprise you that Severin put it out?
So I associate Severin a bit more with sleaze films and exploitation films and horror films, and especially genre related stuff. But they've been really stepping out of that recently. They put out Mike Leigh's All or Nothing.
Yeah, they did that kinky box set, which I love so much.
Yeah, they're really kind of expanding further. I would have thought that like Criterion would have done Drowning by Numbers, but they haven't touched Peter Greenaway at all. So one can hope, one can wait. But I was very enamored with it. It opens with a young girl in like a gigantic layered dress, skipping jump rope at the middle of the night and counting off every star and naming every star that she can see as like a weird couple goes past her, like making out and fucking. It's insane. And throughout the movie is progressively counting up to 100 in either the dialogue or the production design.
Weird.
So there will be a scene where like someone is playing cricket, and then the camera will like pan to the right and a little flag will say 34. And then like later in the movie, someone's at the beach and someone sets down like a like blanket or something, and the blanket has 52 written across it.
How strange. I love it. It
slowly like builds up to 100 as like being a number of completion or death or resolution. And like I was deeply, deeply enamored in it. I really want to watch it again. I really want to see a lot more of his movies. I have Draftman's Contract, Belly of the Architect, and the cook, the thief's wife, and her lover here. So I'll be going through a Peter Greenaway tear soon.
Is he American or English or what?
He's British.
Okay.
So all of his films are English and made in England, and the cast of Drowning by Numbers is pretty big for a British film in the late 80s. It's Bernard Hill, Jolie Richardson, and Dame Joan Plowright, who, if you're living in England or familiar with British films, those are all big names.
Yeah.
But Dame Joan Plowright is mostly known in America for having been in like 101 Dalmatians and The Last Action Hero and Bringing Down the House. I know her for playing the Italian grandmother in I Love You to Death with Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
But like her just very casually like drowning her husband in the bath and then coming to her daughter and being like, well, I killed him. And her daughter being like, yeah. It's really, there's a scene in which a couple has sex on the corpse of a dead cow.
That
like,
sounds so cool.
you would love this movie, Josh.
Yeah, I think I'll watch it.
Yeah. What have you been up to? Have you seen anything good lately?
Well, it's December, which means it's your birthday, my birthday, Jesus's birthday.
Sagittarius time.
Sagittarius time, Capricorn
you Capricorns.
Time.
Yep.
I put up my Christmas tree yesterday. I'm getting in the spirit, been doing a lot of baking and cooking. And I, for a number of years now, have been really obsessed with the British tradition of telling ghost stories at Christmas.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen any of those BBC things from the 70s. So I've been watching those.
Oh my God, I love those. I've got a
they're
set
all
of them.
On Shudder. Yeah,
really?
that set is streaming on Shudder, those restored versions of that entire set. So I've been watching like 2 a night. So essentially, they are very 70s, like everything that I particularly love about 70s horror is in each episode, except they're 45 minutes long at the longest. And they range in quality. Mostly they are adaptations of like M.R. James stories or Charles Dickens ghost stories. Some of them are pretty campy. Some of them are actually very creepy. All of them, I would say, are aesthetically really beautiful. They're all like kind of period pieces, kind of like the woman in black kind of feeling period pieces. They're just excellent. I'm loving it. They have nothing to do with Christmas whatsoever, not a single one of them. So I don't know why they have this tradition. It's not like these are Christmas ghost stories. They're literally just ghost stories. And I guess British people tell ghost stories at Christmas and have done since the Victorian era, if not earlier. But I love them. I think they're so comforting. There's one called The Signal Man in particular that I was so creeped out by.
Ooh, I haven't seen that one.
It's about a signal man at a train station in, like a remote post. Okay. And there's a man on vacation who just stumbles upon him, and he's up high on a hill and he says, "You down there, look out." And for some reason, the signal man is really creeped out by that. And so they form a friendship where this man on holiday keeps coming back every night to talk to the signal man. And you slowly find out that there had been an accident, a deadly train crash a year prior where a lot of people died, and someone had said, "You there below, look out." And so there's like a really creepy, it's almost like Don't Look Now, where the signal man, I won't spoil it, but there is like a twist that's really creepy, and it's super creepy. And then there's like some campier ones. There's one called Lost Hearts, where an orphan is taken in by this like rich occultist who's pretending to be his second cousin. And the manor is being haunted by these 2 ghost children who have like really long fingernails and float outside of windows. Like, what's the Stephen King
Salem's Lot?
It's like Salem's Lot. Yeah. There's like, they just really range, and some of them are super campy and some of them are really creepy. And all of them so far have just been a total delight.
The one I've really seen is Whistle and I'll Come to You.
That's the only one I had seen, which is genuinely very creepy.
It's very, very, very creepy. It's very slow. It's very methodically paced, and it's very upsetting. It's really fucking good though. It's really fucking good.
Also on Shudder, Kier-la Janisse is executive producing. There's only one out, but they're going to make one every year, which is like new ghost stories for Christmas. And so
that's so awesome.
There's one out on Shudder that I haven't gotten to watch yet, but they're going to be doing it every year. And yeah, it's really cool. I'm all about this. My latest film is a Christmas ghost story. But I feel like nobody understands what that is in America because people are, when they watch my film, are like, what is this? Like, people just don't understand it at all because we don't have that tradition.
We don't get it even the least. Like the closest we get is the Dickens, like A Christmas Carol, where you're like, oh yeah, there's ghosts on Christmas, but they're here to teach you a Christian lesson.
Right. Not punish you.
Not simply like, oh yeah, let's be scared on Christmas because we're staying up around the fire because it gets dark super soon and late and like.
Yeah.
I dig that tradition. I deeply, deeply, deeply love it.
It's so cool. And that's like, I love Christmas and I always have. And sometimes people are like, how can someone who's as goth as you love Christmas so much? And I'm like, you don't understand Christmas. Christmas is goth as hell. Like
it's pagan.
Yeah, it's super goth. I don't know. I was once married to somebody from New Zealand. And when he first came to America, he's like, oh, for Christmas, we'll like rent a big house upstate and invite all of our friends and we'll party. And I was like, no. You don't understand how Christmas is in the Northern Hemisphere. Like, we don't do that. It is a solemn, quiet, because there, you go to the beach and you have a big barbecue and you get drunk. But
that's awesome.
It's summer, right?
Yeah.
It's the middle of summer. So that's what people in Australia and New Zealand do for Christmas. But I was like, no. That's not how it is up here in the North Hemisphere.
Yeah.
It's goth.
It is very solemn. And like having grown up in the Midwest with like blizzards every year around Christmas and New Year's, it is very much like you're locked in. You can't go. You don't leave the house. You deal with what you have and the people you're with. And you make the most of it. Sometimes you don't have electricity and sometimes you do. And you watch a lot of movies and you play a lot of board games. And you read a lot of books and like you bake cookies and you sit around a tree. Like,
yeah. Even in LA where it doesn't snow and it remains relatively warm compared to other places, it's still like batten down the hatches, get cozy, make some soup. It's gray out.
LA Christmas is like really fascinating because everyone leaves. Because like so many people in the city are like not from here. So by like Thanksgiving through like the middle of January, the city's dead.
It's great.
Especially once all the holiday shopping's done. The city is dead. It's a fucking ghost town. It's tumbleweeds. So like there's no one to do stuff with. And if you like, even if like I used to like go to the New Beverly all the time in early January, late December, because there's no one there except for like the like old people that are always there. So it feels like the ghosts that are like, you've always been here. This is your seat. I love it so much. I love LA around Christmas. It's also very funny to see like, palm trees with Christmas lights on them. That's always funny to me. I very love the austere kind of Christmas traditions of like it's the like Christmas representing death and the like I don't know, the winter representing the end of the year and the end of a cycle and everything winds down and we all die alone and we spend Christmas like exclusively with loved ones we care about and everything's dark and slow and quiet and the days roll into there's a magic quality in that time of the year that I can't touch and I'm a huge winter fan and I love it so much. And my girlfriend is always like, but it gets so dark and it's so cold. And I'm like, yeah.
That's why Christmas is goth. That's why the most beautiful, I mean, if I hear two notes of the song, Judy Garland's Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, I start crying because that's what's magic about Christmas is that it's happy and cozy, but it's also just a little bit sad because another year has gone by. You're thinking of people that are gone and that you miss, but you're also happy to be with the people you're with. You know what I mean? It's happy and sad at the same time. It's like a very wistful holiday, and I just find it so beautiful.
Yeah. Plus, anyway. Meet Me in St. Louis is also very sad.
Love that movie. Love it.
Well, speaking of another movie we love, is set in a slightly older time.
Yes. This is a Czechoslovakian movie, or Czech Republic, I guess you would say. It is directed by Uri Hertz. It is from 1972. It is called Morgiana.
Bum.
I had the pleasure of seeing this at Salem Horror Fest. It was presented by Kier-la Janisse of Severin, who restored it. It was the, I believe, American premiere of this movie. And I thought it was great. And I came back and talked about it on the show. You had heard about this movie, and here we are.
Yeah. I can't believe it's taken me this long to finally watch this movie. As far as I can tell, Severin still hasn't put it out on disc in America.
Oh, haven't
shockingly.
they? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Which is really lame. But like, there's a UK edition, and I have that, so I watched that. It's from Second Run Films, and it looks great. And really quickly, speaking of this movie's availability around the world, I read the essay is included in the release by Daniel Bird before, and he mentions seeing this film with Uri Hertz at a film festival in, I think, 2016 in Brussels, where they did a retrospective of all of Hertz's work. And at the same time, they were doing a retrospective of the films of the American director Steven Sayedian, who made Dr. Caligari and Cafe Flesh, who's one of my favorite directors of all time. And Sayedian, like most Americans interested in this era of filmmaking, was familiar with The Cremator, which we covered
previously. Which we've covered.
But had no clue about any of his other movies and had never even heard of Morgiana. And after watching Morgiana, asked why it was not better known, and that he had never seen such a well-framed movie and ever in his life, and then went to Uri Hertz and told him that Morgiana should be playing on TCM daily.
Totally. I could
and
not
I agree.
Yeah, I could not agree more. This is 1972, so it's kind of the tail end of the Czech New Wave, which, you know, started in the 60s, and it was a group of filmmakers who were experimenting with film. It differs from the French New Wave at the same time because it's more... At the same time, it is more focused on story, on traditional like linear stories, and it is more, I'd say, like whimsical and surrealist and weird. And also, these filmmakers, because they had state-sponsored film, and you know, because it was like communist, they had greater access to film studios and like the means of production of film. So they're much bigger budgets than the French New Wave films.
Oh yeah. And they deal with very like challenging and radical politics for the time, especially being made in a rather totalitarian communist country at the time.
Which no other Soviet country got away with. For some reason they got away with this in Czechoslovakia, but
well, because they started making like before and after the Prague Spring as well.
Right.
But they deal with political issues in a way very different from French films at the time. French films like Godard de la Chinois or Pere Le Fou will have literal characters like picking up Marxist text and just reading it to you. Being like, here you go. Here's your lecture for the day. Like Weekend has like whole swaths of like, we're just going to read Marxist and Leninist text, and you're just gonna like we're gonna have garbage men like read it to the camera. That's what we're doing. Meanwhile, because these were movies being made in communist countries under state-sponsored censorship, they had to be a lot more sly about the political messages that they were presenting, and a little bit more sneaky, both here and in Poland and stuff like that. And so you get movies like The Cremator, which are like real fucking mean political films that are able to criticize the government funding them while also being approved by the government funding them, or something like Milos Forman's The Fireman's Ball, which did get him kicked out of the country. So they're very radical, and they're a bit more like, I don't know, fantastical. They have a bit more like whimsy, like you were saying. I think Valerie and her Week of Wonders is a lot of people's like touchstone for like
Daisies. I'd say
Daisies too are very much the tone that people associate a lot more with the kind of vibe of Czech films. And again, there's a lot more, not to diminish the works of like Agnes Varda, Marguerite Duras in France and stuff like that, but there's also a lot of female creatives behind the camera in the Czech New Wave as well. And Jura Hertz is interesting because he's a Slavic filmmaker who then came to Prague to make films.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a AP European history student, but my understanding is that Czechoslovakia was now what is both the Czech Republic and Slovakia, and so you have two kind of ethnic groups. So the language of the Czech Republic is Czech and the language of Slovakia is Slavic. So it could have been that they were the same country and you could just, go back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. And the movies that he made there were everything from The Cremator, which is like an outright political horror film, to an adaptation of Beauty and the Beast, and then Morgiana, which kind of falls in the middle of those two things, feeling at once a fairy tale and a horror film, in kind of a like Slavic Poe tradition. In fact, the book that it's based on, by
somebody with a very English sounding name.
Yeah, it was
Alexander Grin.
Yep.
Jesse and Morgiana.
Yeah, who is considered Russia's Edgar Allan Poe. Which doesn't surprise me considering all the like guilt and cats and poisoning and doubling, like
totally. It's very Victorian. I don't know if you can describe something outside of the English speaking Western world as Victorian, but that's the feeling, even though it's not. The book is from 1929. These characters, it's hard to say when this takes place because it's from the 70s. It's definitely a period piece, but they have telephones. So I'm not sure if it's set in 1929 or not when the book comes out. But they're definitely wearing like dresses that I would
associate with the Victorian era,
like, sort of Victorian-ish, yeah.
And the costume design and the production design and costume design are beyond next level in this movie. I watched it with my partner, who again is a costume designer and stylist, and her jaw was on the floor at every single outfit. The makeup design is also really, really, really bold. And we should also state from the top something that I didn't realize until after I had seen the movie, which is that
it's so bizarre that you didn't realize this, but it's a testament to this performance, I think.
The two central sisters are played by the same actress.
Yeah. So I'll do a little synopsis. This is about two sisters, Victoria and Clara, whose rich father dies and gives the bulk of his estate to the prettier, sweeter sister, Clara, which makes the evil brunette sister, Victoria, insanely jealous. And when Clara becomes involved with a man that her sister is in love with, she begins to plot her murder. And she poisons Clara with a poison that will take a really long time to take effect. She retreats to the old country estate, which has not been lived in for a long time. She's being really cruel to the servants. She's waiting for the poison to take effect. She's just like plotting the end of her sister so that she can snatch the man she loves and inherit the bulk of their father's fortune. But both sisters are played by the actress Eva Yanzurova. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Who is great. And, both characters are very different. Clara, as I said, is a redhead. She's very sweet and has like a very quiet voice. Victoria, of course, because she's evil, is a brunette and has like a really low register. They just feel very different.
They feel extremely different.
Yeah.
I I
It's such a great movie.
throughout the movie, I like fully bought them as sisters and was just thinking about that. I
Totally.
I was caught up in the narrative. I wasn't thinking about the production of like, who are these actresses, but I kind of was like, these two do look similar enough. I fully buy them as sisters, but like, they're clearly different people.
Yeah.
Then after the movie, I like took one look at the IMDb page and it was like, motherfucker.
Yeah. There's a lot of stylish touches in this movie beyond the production design. Morgiana is the name of Victoria's cat, a beautiful Siamese cat, and you get a lot of cat POV of like the camera jumping onto chairs.
Gorgeously filmed. Oh my God.
Clara's poison causes her to have hallucinations, so you get a lot of like acid trip kind of visuals in her hallucinations and stuff like that. So it's formally very experimental as well, as, you know, touches like the production design. The production design is insane. They film at these beautiful estates. The dresses are giant and incredible. They're all wearing gigantic wigs and hats. It's kind of in the color palette of the early 70s, lots of oranges and purples and that
deep
kind
greens,
of
golds.
Yeah, that way that the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s were really interested in the Art Nouveau movement from an earlier era and kind of channeled that a lot of the time.
It has a lot of the like color palette of like Klimt too.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yes.
And
it does.
everything is textured, everything is a pattern. Like it's
Maximalist.
very maximalist. But but in a way that like the frame is visually clean. It's like there's not a lot of physical objects crowding the frame like a Fassbinder movie or a Peter Greenaway movie. But like the things that are in the frame are very richly designed and it feels very oppressive and dark and heavy, which is fitting for Victoria's character in the way that she lives her life and for Clara's character as the like illness falls upon her.
Yeah. The story is, or the performances rather, are extremely over the top. They're almost like the performances in a silent film because they're so big and broad and gestural. They're that way by design. They're not bad performances. It's just that's the style of the movie. You could almost watch this with no dialogue and still be able to follow the plot because it's
very
just
much so.
It's so tropey, it's so sort of foundational, it's so broad. The costumes and makeup kind of look like Van Jones of John Waters fame did them. I mean, the makeup especially. Like Victoria's brows kind of drove me crazy because they're not even.
Yeah.
Each brow is doing something different.
They're drawn on, but differently, intentionally.
Yeah.
But also, like, her lip is lined with a really dark liner really sharply. And so her eyes, like, it's the makeup
enough
design
eyeshadow to paint a house. I mean...
We do get a scene of her painting on the eyeshadow too. Which you never get to see that in movies. You never get to actually see someone applying their makeup like that. Which like
I love watching women put on makeup. It's like little gay boy in me watching my mom put on makeup. You know, I always loved that when I was little. There are moments that kind of reminded me. Not tonally, this is a very different movie tonally, but I kept thinking of like Picnic at Hanging Rock because there are all of these scenes of all the beautiful rich people in a giant garden and it's sort of like a wide shot that looks like a Monet painting or something. One thing I thought was interesting is there's a lot of beach scenes and I was like, there's no beaches in Czechoslovakia. It's landlocked. And so I looked it up and those were filmed in Bulgaria, which if you look at a map of Europe is not near Czechoslovakia. Like you got to go through Romania at least to get there. I was like, that's a big commitment to cross like two countries to film some beach scenes.
I mean, it makes sense considering the novel was like written and planned for Russia.
Right.
Which does have beaches. Yeah, I also apparently an actress drowned to death in Bulgaria during one of the beach scenes. I don't know if the actress was a part of the production or she just came to drown herself. I don't fucking know. But an actress died of drowning at that Bulgarian beach while they were filming there. She's not credited in the movie, so I don't know if she came and that was her only day on set and she died, or
whoa.
But wild.
Those scenes are all so beautiful, those beach scenes.
God, I know. There's a really hilarious moment in one of the beach scenes because Victoria, I also love that like all of their houses are also different. Like the main house is like really gorgeous and light and a bit more colorful and vibrant. And then Victoria's house is a lot more darker, closed up. It's got like a circular door out front. And all of her servants have like matching dark hair and dress in dark colors as
Blue
well.
dresses.
And she gets mad at them for like playing in the water and says like, go somewhere else to go splash about. And then she like follows them to the beach where they're doing that. And she hides behind a rock and just throws a rock at one of them.
It's really John Waters stuff. Like that is like a John Waters character. She's permanently
like
cripples one of the
evil.
servants for fun.
But then but they like don't know how it happened, and she like pays for the servants like healthcare, and the servant later has like a big neck brace on and is like, thank you so much for being so generous and paying me and giving me the money for my medical procedures. It's intentionally very funny. There's a lot of intentional over the top dark humor. And
totally.
We should mention two other elements of the plot, one of which is very connected to the plot, the other one not so much, which is that the person who made the poison that she's administering to her sister,
love her,
reappears midway through to blackmail her.
Yeah. So she has commissioned this new kind of poison that is odorless and tasteless and takes a month to work and is, undetectable by autopsy and all this stuff. She's used this on her sister, and then the person who made the poison and sold it to her reappears to now blackmail her. Apparently the poison has an antidote. And if Victoria does not pay her, she's going to tell the sister everything. So Victoria says, oh, I didn't actually use the poison. I buried it on the beach. Takes her to the beach, knocks her out, throws her in the water, thinks she's dead, but she's not.
It's a really far fall, too. That woman is incredible. There's a great moment later on when Victoria is like riding a little carriage to get back to her sister to see what state her sister is in. And a large carriage passes her and she sees that woman in the other carriage, and it's a shock moment of like, is she hallucinating? Is she really there? And it very much recalls like Robert Louis Stevenson's The Body Snatcher, like directly. And then we also Clara, the sister that's being poisoned, we get like a giallo film POV of a character with black gloves breaking into her room to leave a letter saying, you've been poisoned, it will kill you in 4 weeks. There's no rush though. You're in no immediate danger.
Yeah. Also, Drusilla's joke at the top of the show about being thirsty, one of the symptoms of having this poison is that you're constantly thirsty, constantly having to drink. So Victoria gives the water to a servant's dog and watches the dog get thirsty. But then it turns out the little boy who loves the dog has also been drinking from the water bowl. So she killed potentially a dog and a child.
But then actually it turns out that the water was drank by her cat, Morgiana. So now so the one thing she cares about in the world, her cat, might be dying. So she's now like actually a little bit mournful about this and regretful. Though immediately when she first puts the poison in Clara's glass, which Clara like kind of sees out of the corner of her eye, Clara goes to drink it. And she says, no, actually have something else. Have a different drink. And then she says, no, it's fine. I'll drink it. And then she's like, yeah, okay, bottoms up, drink it all.
Yeah.
There's like a few moments of regret throughout it that I really like.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that Victoria is obviously the villain, but in the style of John Waters, you're rooting for her. She's the character that you're experiencing the movie with.
She's the lead.
She's the lead. You experience her sister Clara as an annoying, weak little drip. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like, this is like a really D-class A comparison, but when I rewatched Ferris Bueller as an adult, I was like, I hate Ferris Bueller. Do you know who I like? Is his sister Jeannie, played by Jennifer Grey.
I love Jeannie.
She's so funny and so much more sympathetic than Ferris Bueller is. And it's like watching Ferris Bueller through Jeannie's eyes, which is great. Because you're rooting for her because her sister sucks, truthfully.
Yeah, you're very correct. But there is another, like, I guess, D plot going on in this movie. That's kind of like given as an offhand joke during like a kind of like, you know, garden party at one point that kind of like amps up in the background, that their country house where Victoria goes off to live to, called Green Flute, may or may not be haunted by the ghost of a ballerina.
Oh, right. Yes.
Which we kind of get as like a very long offhand story about how a ballerina did die there, and Vicky's like, oh, Clara, you're so silly for buying into that. What's the story that you believe? Ha 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 ha. But then, like, while she's staying at Green Flute, Victoria keeps like going into a locked off, dusty room where there's like a portrait of the ballerina and like digging through sheets to like find something, and then keeps thinking she sees the ghost of the ballerina coming through the window at her in different scenes.
Yeah, that's
it's a really fascinating little side part to this movie.
Speaking of the attic, I love when Victoria comes down with the doll of herself.
Oh my God.
And gives it to Clara. And Clara's like, oh, I remember these dolls. Is there a Clara doll up there? And Victoria's like, yes, but she's torn apart and she's missing her eyes. So clearly, Victoria has hated her sister her entire life. It's so delightful. I love a rotten character.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite moments of the whole movie. First of all, the doll that looked exactly like her, to the point that they're like cartoon characters, that their entire life they've only dressed like this.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is like it looks like her now. So like, does that imply that she was wearing these giant bouffant wigs as a small child and a face full of makeup? I mean, she practically looks like a geisha because she's wearing so much makeup and her hair is like that weird shape. I love it.
Also, she wears this big, chunky necklace full of silver coins in every scene, everywhere she goes. And you can visually see it moving around all the time. But the movie is dubbed into Czech. Because all the audio is post-sync, which I love. I love it in giallo movies and Italian movies.
Me too.
Uri Hertz has also gone on record as saying that Fellini is his one true love and his favorite filmmaker. Fellini, of course, also did this. But because of that, the necklace, you never hear it. You never hear it jangling once. You just hear the dialogue crisp and clear. There's a scene in which, the beginning of the movie, where Clara is talking with a man who is in love with her, but she knows that Vicky is in love with, and she keeps telling him, no, you should go spend some time with my sister. Like, you'll like her more. If you spend more time with her, you'll like her a lot more. I love her. I think you're going to like her. Leave me alone. And they're standing next to a waterfall. And at the top of the waterfall is Victoria, like, listening and eavesdropping to them.
Yeah. It's great. It made me think of A Quiet Place with the waterfall, like comparing these two waterfall moments.
But like all of those little like film production elements like go to both amplifying the like slightly surreal nature of the storytelling and the gothic nature of this, but also make it feel more unstuck from time and more novelistic. And like, if that's written in a novel, you wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't think about the clacking of her necklace in every scene.
Right.
You would only think about like the events and the characters and like the motion that they're flowing through. And like a woman can be thrown off a cliff and then reappear scenes later, like fully dry and like plotting and scheming still, and like with no visible injuries, and it's fine. Also in a crazy bouffant and like an insane amount of makeup, and you just flow with it and move with it. I saw someone describe this movie as dreaming without sleeping. And that is very much the goal of all of my favorite cinema in the world. This movie has a dream logic of surrealism that I feel like relates more towards like Buñuelian films. I was thinking a lot about That Obscure Object of Desire, which kind of does the opposite that this movie does, in which one character is played by two actresses, rather than that kind of like over the top like Terry Gilliam like zaniness. Though almost every single shot in this movie is filmed with a wide angle lens. Like,
yeah, the lens is a weird choice for sure, unusual.
I'm also, I mean, we'll get to it in a minute here, but I'm almost certain that Yorgos Lanthimos has seen this, because you don't make the favorite and Poor Things from both a production design point, but especially from a wide angle cinematography point of view, without having seen something like Morgiana.
Yeah. You and I were sharing quotes from Willem Dafoe back and forth in this interview where he was talking about realism in film and how there's kind of a shortcoming to realism because and the limitations of story and plot in film, because film is of course more than story. It's sound and aesthetic and tone and all of these other things. And when you talk about realism, there is an age-old debate about whether or not it's real or not, because when you watch a film that is done in the style of realism, there's an argument that that's not really the way that you experience life in your body. The way that you experience time and life in your body is closer to surrealism, because time speeds up or slows down depending on what's happening. You see things differently depending on who you are and where you are and what's happening. There's an argument that surrealism is actually closer to the lived experience of a human being than realism is.
Because human life and perspective is subjective, because our brains are flawed, fleshy little things that can only interpret signals in one way. When we recall a memory, we're not recalling a memory, recalling the last time we remembered that memory, and that like ad infinitum. So things break down and process differently, and every human being breaks down and processes visual and auditory information and textural information very differently through every moment of their life. So like,
yeah,
just going for kitchen sink realism, and there's a lot of discussion around that, and listeners will be fully aware that I am not a fan of that. I don't dig on like Ozu and like Rossellini and stuff like that, but I love Mike Leigh and I love like Sean Baker films.
Sean Baker is the king of realism these days.
Yeah, I love a lot of that stuff. But like, that's not like, I have a lot of respect for it and I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I'm very inspired by a lot of that. But the stuff that feels correct to me, not correct, but that feels resonant with me, the stuff that like touches my body and my soul and feels like this is the art that feels like it's a part of me that I want to be making, is more in the fantastical and the surreal. Because that feels closer to my human experience.
Yeah, I like anything as long as it's good, right? And it comes from an authorial voice. I just think that there is an argument that David Lynch's work, for instance, comes closer to our lived experience as human beings than the quote unquote realism of Sean Baker. Two filmmakers I love deeply, but yeah, that's all. Well, let's play Have They Seen It, the game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this film. I am thinking of somebody. I was thinking about makeup because this movie has a lot of it. And I was thinking of the most famous, arguably, makeup artist that ever lived, Dick Smith.
Yeah.
Who died in 2014. Do you think
he did all the makeup for like The Exorcist?
Yeah, Taxi Driver, Godfather, on and on. Death Becomes Her. Do you think that he saw Morgiana? I mean, this is a little bit of a hard one because like no one really has seen Morgiana until now.
Yeah.
Unless we want to name check people.
I'm gonna doubt it. I feel like probably not. However, I do feel like this is the kind of thing that would have rubbed his attention. I'm sure he saw stills from this movie.
Could be.
I'm sure he had like hundreds of books on film. I'm sure he was very invested in international filmmaking, and I'm sure he had like books on international filmmaking or production and costume and makeup design and I'm sure he had stills from this movie.
Yeah.
But God, what I would give to see a 1970s Czech version of Death Becomes Her.
I mean, this kind of Death Becomes Her kind of feels like it's in the tradition of this movie.
It really does. Death Becomes Her has, because again, they have a lot of those like Edgar Allan Poe roots.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways this feels like, Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Death Becomes Her has a lot of those EC Comics roots, which is then rooted in Poe. So
this also reminded me of some of like, not exactly, but I did think of like Mario Bava's early period pieces.
Yeah, very much so. I know Uri Hertz was kind of like an outlier in the Czech New Wave for making almost exclusively period pieces, but like there's a lot to be said with a period piece, especially if you're making a political statement about the time you're currently living in. You can smuggle a lot of ideas in through a period piece, and people can be like, but that's about another time. That's not about right now.
And this is, I think, a little bit late in the period, too, because if you look up Czech New Wave on Wikipedia, not that that's the arbiter of such things, which I have up, this director is not listed on that list of like famous Czech New Wave. So seems like a little bit of a deep cut.
Yes, he's very much an outlier. He's not Vera Chirlova or Milos Forman. And
Milos
stuff
Forman.
Like that. So someone that I was thinking of, because I watched this with my partner, and we're both big fans of a recent movie that we were both connecting this with, especially afterwards when I read an interview with Uri Hertz when he was talking about how he is a little disappointed in this movie and a little apologetic about it, because his original intention with the short story that he had read and his screenplay adaptation of it was going to dovetail and end clarifying that the two actresses, the two characters and the one actress were in fact one person.
Oh.
And the Soviet government said no. And he had to cut that out. However, I think that's a read that is still applicable to the movie and that one could reach without knowing that. But it got us both thinking about the substance and how it's both of these are movies about two women who are the same and attempting to kill the other while killing the self. It also got me thinking about Robert Altman's Three Women or
Three Women
Persona quite a lot. But especially with the substance, do you think that the substance director Coralie Farge has seen Morgiana?
She is somebody who may have seen this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would go as far to say that that is an inspiration point for the substance. This is, but I feel like she's young and cool. She's an arty farty person. I could totally believe that she's seen this.
Yeah, and I think it has a home video release in France. I believe it does. It definitely does. Looking right now. Yes, it does. Yes, it overtly has a Blu-ray release in France. So I would be entirely shocked if someone went to her house and that wasn't on the shelf.
Yeah.
I think she's absolutely seen this. I think any like connections and similarities to the substance are unintended and like subtle deep brain things, but I do think it's there for an audience to read.
Yeah, totally. I have pulled up a list of famous Czech people. So the person I am choosing from this list is Ivana Trump. Do you think that she has seen Morgiana?
No.
She's at an age where she might have.
Yeah. How old is she?
I don't know, 300. She's probably like 70s.
Yeah. She probably would have been living there in the early 70s.
She was like a teenager in the early 70s or early 20s.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is possible that she probably could have caught this at the time. I don't know how this movie was responded to by Czech audiences at the time, or how it was presented. I am currently looking at the original Czech poster for the movie, which is so goddamn gorgeous.
I mean, those opening credits are so beautiful. Those illustrated opening credits.
God, I know. Well, again, we talked about his other film, The Cremator. The collage opening credits of that one are mind blowing. The Czech poster for Morgiana is done in a very like turn of the century French style. What do you like? The French subway design is what?
Oh, like that's kind of Art Nouveau.
Art Nouveau. Yeah. I was starting to say Art Nouveau, and I'm like, no, Nouvelle Vague. That's different. But yes. Yeah. It's painted in a very Art Nouveau style with like a pink border and big pink flowers up at the top, and a very like scrawled Art Nouveau title, and then it all kind of flows down into Victoria's body, which is like made up of flowers, and then the credits are all handwritten in her body. She's got skull earrings. Her hair is like a big purple blob, and then that grows off of her head into Clara's head with her big orange hair coming out. But Clara's face is a skull.
Yeah.
And then out of Clara's hair is growing the head of the Siamese cat, Morgiana.
That's so cool.
It's so beautiful. I need it in my house.
The early 70s, late 60s, early 70s were really into channeling Art Nouveau. I mean, you'll see that aesthetic in a lot of like rock concert posters.
Oh, yeah.
And tarot decks and like things like that. Interior design even.
It was really popular.
I don't know a lot of movies, but yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, especially in the West, movie poster marketing is always going to be really far from art movements at the time, which is very unfortunate because they're all controlled by marketing companies. So, like, most you'll get, like, Swiss style, but, like, it's gorgeous. So, I mean, I don't know if it was presented with any kind of air of artsy-fartsy ness, but from looking at this, it has a very hip and feminine and femme presentation with like a very subtle hint of the grotesque to it. I think it's possible that she could have seen it. I can't believe it's the kind of thing that, you know, sitting around with Donald Trump, she's going to talk about Morgiana.
No, I mean, I don't think that. My guess is that Trump's not very close to his wives. I think they have lived very independent lives. I think these women are not necessarily in love with Donald Trump, is my guess.
I can't imagine there's much of conversation going on other than one side talking ad nauseum about wealth and the other side nodding.
I can't even imagine him with any of his wives. Melania, let's say that's his current wife. I can't imagine them watching any movie together, including like Shrek or something. You know what I mean? Like, I just think I think she hates him and spends as little time with him as possible.
Well, the score to this movie is also one of the other really, really, really standouts by Lubos Fischer. It's like who did the score for Valerie and her Week of Wonders. It is like very front facing. Every
bombastic
scene has quite a lot going on, and it's really energetic and really, really, really beautiful. And there's a musician that I know is a huge fan of film, especially international film. And granted, his music is not nearly as bombastic as this. It's a lot more low key, but I am aware that he's a fan of European art house films and horror films, and has written some films, and has even written a script for a movie that is out right now that did not get used. Do you think that Nick Cave has seen Morgiana?
Oh, that's a surprise one. I thought you were going to say somebody else. Yeah. Yes. I think, like all of us, he's seen it in the past year or two.
I feel like he would fucking dig this movie.
He would be really into it. I thought you were going to say Trent Reznor.
Oh, well, also yes.
Reason. Yeah, but yes, as well.
Trent Reznor has been doing the rounds because he did the score to Luca Guadagnino's Queer.
Yeah.
and he did one of those like letterboxed top 4 videos recently. And one of the movies that he mentioned was Dead Ringers.
Ooh,
fucking,
that's such a Trent Reznor movie, isn't it?
That's such a Trent Reznor movie. And it's also like, and he talks about how like whenever he's like working on a film project, that's like his aim and that's his go-to, which like, that's so cute that like Howard Shore's score for Dead Ringers is all Trent Reznor is trying to do. Like,
yeah,
that makes me happy. That makes me like, because Trent Reznor's kind of viewed as like a fucking god on top of the mountain and everything he brings down is gold, which is true.
Which is true.
So it's very cute that like, yeah, he's just trying to be Howard Shore. Like,
yeah, who's also another guy.
I don't think Trent Reznor would have seen Morgiana yet, but I think he'll get to it. I don't think he's going to love it.
He will get to it for sure.
Severin's going to put it out. It's going to end up on Shudder.
God willing. I had to watch it on YouTube.
Well, at least it's available.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Bloodhaus. Please rate it wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at BloodhousePod or email us at bloodhousepod@gmail.com. Drusilla, where can people poison you? That doesn't work. But you know what I mean.
I mean, they can try. My work is over at sisterhydedesign.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd. If you look for Drusilla Adeline or Sister Hyde, you can find me over there. And you can see the Michael Lee movies I've been watching a lot lately. I'm very excited for his new one with Marianne Jean-Baptiste. And you can also follow me on Instagram if you look for Sister Hyde. What about you, Josh? How can people jealously seethe over your existence from afar?
No one should be jealous of my existence, but I'm at Joshua Conkel on Instagram, Letterboxd, and really popping off at Blue Sky, although over there I'm only talking about the CEO shooter, so be warned in advance. If that's not your vibe, maybe give me a month.
For the next shooting.
Yeah, God willing. I'm very excited for the next episode because it's one we've been putting off since before we even started this podcast. We're gonna have it out because it's a movie I love and you hate. What is it?
We will be watching a really seminal movie from A24 and from the 2010s that feels like if you have a Letterboxd account, you have seen this movie. If you own a Criterion release, you have seen this movie. If you are a fan of international cinema, you've more than likely seen this movie. And I'm dreading revisiting it because I fucking hated it. And I don't bring it up to people because everyone loves it. And I always get weird looks. But I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll like it. We'll see. From Jonathan Glazer from 2013 and starring ScarJo, we will be watching Under the Skin.
Very excited to plead my case next week. Thank you. Bye.